'Cause I don't wanna stay, wanna live my own life, wanna feel passion for something or someone that makes my world turn upside down, wanna give it up for something or someone that's better than this. So don't be too offended, I had to leave, there's nothing in for me, no, I'm not fitting in, I've packed my things to go. Am I being naive? But it's my choice to make, it's my new rebellious way. Choice to make, it's my new rebellious way.
Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for your patience. Today has been one of those really weird days where it's just like, so I usually sit down about an hour before the podcast and put everything together. I didn't, and I always have like a folder where I put things like throughout the day of stuff that I'm going to talk about, but I didn't realize how much stuff was in my folder, and I was like, whoa, there's actually a lot to talk about. A lot of it isn't necessarily actually Harry and Meghan related. There's a couple of other things I know that everyone's kind of talking about. But yeah, it just took me a lot longer, and by the time I was finished, I was like, whoa, there's 32 slides. So thank you so much for waiting, because it does take a little bit of time. Let's see who's here. Well, I mean, almost 300 in the chat, so I think you're almost all here. I believe that we had a new member, but I don't see your name popping up. But thank you to the new member who joined. Oh, hello, Dorothy Ross. You guys are so funny. I'm gonna need matchsticks to keep my eyes open. Oh gosh. You guys just go to sleep and watch the replay. I love you still. Elita, I do volunteer work for Food Bank, and we had over 500 calls today. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. Yeah, everyone, please donate to food banks if you can. It's getting really hard out here on these streets. It really is, and people need all the help they can get. So please do help where you can. I know everyone's going through a lot. You know, I'd rather you take your money and go to the store and buy food for a food bank than give money to me, because it's really hard times for everyone. Let's see who else is here. Patricia, hi. Denise. Hello, Rosa. Karen M, hi. Fancy. See if I can spot any new names. Carmen Jones. Brenda Gray, don't think I've seen that name either. Hi, Cinderella. Teresa, Squaddies, sounds like things are very dicey around Buckingham Palace. Lots of scurrying and eyes during the day, but practically nada come sundown. What's going on with all these numbnuts feeding at the royal? I don't know what's going on. It's all just very suspicious, and it's weird that all of this stuff is not only supposedly happening now, but only being reported now. So it's very suspicious. Rahini, so I just realised that once again the palace shenanigans have overshadowed the Cambridges. Apparently today it's Charlotte's birthday. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, fake priest on the yes, there was apparently a fake priest on the loose. Very weird. See, I want all about 32 slides, please and thank you. Yeah, this is one of those days. My point of view was a bank holiday a bit much. No charge for having a little spark in one's life every now and again. Oh no, I didn't party too much on the bank holiday actually. I was going to be honest with you. Like Saturday night was meant to be the night, and in the end, we just thought, you know what? Let's just go for dinner. I really wasn't feeling it that much. Hi Nash, thank you for joining us. Hi Carmen. Sylvia, hi. Miss Levy, hi. Okay, let me just make sure that I've gotten through everyone's comments before we start. Levy, they're telling on themselves slowly but surely everything's coming to light. Indeed. And we're going to talk about all of that today. So let's get started. And thank you everyone for coming. Thumbs up, please. And let's get straight into it. So we'll start with some positives. For those of you who maybe didn't see yesterday's podcast, there were more pictures that came out of Harry and Nacho at Polo, and Meghan having a good time, giving us a rich future billionaire for sure. And some more of these photos. I didn't know, but apparently Nacho was he was a Ralph Lauren model, and apparently a lot of the money that he was making from modeling, that's what he put into learning polo. So great businessman and athlete. There was a royal account, it was like one of these like fan accounts that was making mention about the fact that Meghan was wearing like shorts or a short skirt, and the fact that she was 40. I mean, the jealousy these people give off. Like, yeah, she's 40 wearing a short skirt and she looks absolutely amazing. Oh, and here's more pictures of Meghan in shorts, also looking amazing. So please do continue with the hate, because our girl looks fab. 40 going on 21. These are obviously pre-royal pictures, but really, like, has Meghan changed that much? Not really. She really hasn't aged at all. There was also this picture that propped up of Meghan at a Serena Williams tennis game. So this was, I believe, 2016. I actually did a whole video about their friendship and how they met. So just go back a couple of weeks worth of videos and you'll find that. But just shows that Meghan really did have an incredible life before she married into the royal family. She had great friends. You know, she did not need a royal title to be someone or to become someone. And also coming very soon, 3 days until Archie Day, and Tina and Michelle from Sussex Squad podcast, and I think the peeps that run Sussex Squad community events are getting together to do something. So I'll keep you up to date with the countdown, and whatever that is, you will be the first to know here, of course. and I can't wait. Whatever the squad does for Archie and Lily, and even for Harry and Meghan, we always show up and show out. So very excited for that. Let's see. Hello, if you're just joining us. Dorothy Ross, according to a post on my tablet, Meghan hated the tour to Australia. You mean that very, very successful tour where everybody loved them? Yeah, I think the only people that hated that tour was the other royals because it was just so successful. All of Harry and Meghan's tours were incredibly successful, and they were very popular wherever they went. And to be honest, even if Harry and Meghan did hate those tours, I don't blame them because the tours are just ridiculous. Omid actually did a very good article on Yahoo. Actually, I might read that out in tomorrow's podcast. But yeah, just talking about how the royal tours are pretty much redundant at this point, and they can either innovate into something more useful or just put the whole thing in the trash. And now a lot of other royal families, their royals basically act as almost like dignitaries or cultural ministers, people that do soft diplomacy and actually go and invest or come back with something for the country. And that's kind of, I think, the role a good modern royal should play. But it should always be to the benefit of their home country and wherever they're going. It should be mutually beneficial, not just showing up to dress up in your colonizer cosplay. Joyce, Harry must have gotten a tip from someone about the Queen and the palace protection. I think so. It's all very strange, but we'll get into that in a moment. This Palmer, they do look amazing. She does look amazing, and they're mad about it. Rahini, while they're mad about her being in mid shorts, think about how mad they would be if they saw a bikini pic. Well, I think there's only been one bikini pic of her and Harry when earlier on in their dating, and they were pretty mad about that. She looks amazing. Mm. Yeah, Joan, wait until she reaches 50 and wear shorts. We'll need earplugs. Lily Bell, they seem to forget about Kate wearing shorts on royal duties when they were in Belize. She's 40. Yeah, exactly. One rule for the other Duchess, one rule for Meghan. Joyce, is Archie's birthday celebration going to be on YouTube? I don't actually know. I'll ask Tina and see what they're planning. Kerry, I don't understand why they're complaining about Meghan and her shorts. Kate's been photographed in her shorts, post-marrying to the family, be it crickets and a British tabloid. Just how ridiculous is it, though, that her shorts are a damn discussion? It's just every little thing. Anyway, moving on. Yes. So there were also posts from the British tabloids, referring to polo as a British sport, and that Harry was only playing because he misses home, and basically trying to take ownership of polo as a sport. And as many people actually pointed out, polo has been, quote, the sport of kings and has become a spectator sport for equestrians and high society, often supported by sponsorship. But the concept of the game and its variants date back from the 6th century BC to 1st century AD, originated from equestrian games played by nomadic Iranian and Turkic peoples. The sport was at first a training game for Persian cavalry units, usually the royal guard or other elite troops. The modern game of polo is derived from Manipur, India, where the game was known as Sagal Kanje or Pulu. It was the angelicized from the last, referring to the wooden ball that is used, which was adopted by the sport in its slow spread to the west. The first polo club was established in the town of Silchar in Assam, India in 1833. So, for those who were trying to claim polo as a British sport, it is actually not. Its origins are elsewhere. Mm, okay, I think we have a troll. Oh gosh, I think we've got two trolls. Dang, they're really coming in today, aren't they? Okay, so that's that. Yeah, trolls are really trying today, Marcy. I don't know why you're here. Like, if you're a troll and you are here, all I can say is just thank you for the views. Thank you. Thank you very much. Um, and something that I've noticed over the last couple of weeks and leading up to the Jubilee is the constant obsession as to whether or not Harry and Meghan are going to be there. And I just what I know why the obsession is there. The British press want them there, but the royal family do not. They don't want the attention taken away from them. But the press want that money shot. They want them on that balcony. It's so funny. Like, you've got headlines in the Daily Mail saying Harry's Hollywood team manipulating the palace to bank balcony money shot. No, that balcony money shot is going to be for you, Daily Mail. It's not going to be for Netflix. And it's just this like sense of self-importance that they have about the Jubilee. Really and truly, nobody really cares. And it's incredibly tone deaf to even be having this whole event. There's even, I think it was the Daily Beast, were questioning whether or not the Queen would even show up. And I just feel like this whole Jubilee is going to be so anticlimactic when it comes to it. And I really hope that Harry and Meghan don't go, because it will be like the nail in the coffin. Like, all of this hype, and then Harry and Meghan don't go. I'm hoping so much that they don't go. I'll be so disappointed if they go. And the body language experts were out for Harry's polo game, and Judy Dames, who has 30 years of experience apparently, said that when Harry was filmed playing polo and he was heard yelling "aha," this was a sign that he was doing well and was winning in the match. That's what 30 years of experience apparently enables you to see when you're a body language expert. Can we just agree that the whole body language expert thing is just a farce? You all wanted me to do the training. I did actually find some cheap ones, but I couldn't find any on Woucher because the Woucher one was sold out. Can you believe it? I don't know who's buying the Woucher body language expert course, but I did see some on Udemy and Skillshare. So I will do one and report back, and we'll see if they're actually of any use. Joyce, Tina Brown has an agenda with this book. It was commissioned to be a hit piece and smear of Harry and Meghan, especially Meghan. Of course. And I mean, look at the timing. This is why I haven't really given the whole Tina Brown thing just too much attention. Because it's just so obviously a hit piece. And this is someone, who was happily rubbing shoulders with Weinstein and Trump. So I, I just haven't really given it too much attention. We know that they are very upset about the Invictus Games, and so they're going to do everything to come back fighting. And okay, so this also came up today on the Cambridge Twitter account as part of an expansion to James Palace UK, with a new permanent centre in London, continues its life-saving work supporting men experiencing a suicidal crisis. Now, I think this is an amazing initiative, and I think it's a very important initiative. However, the hypocrisy of William being involved in this when his sister-in-law was suicidal while she was pregnant, and he said nothing and he did nothing, neither did the whole royal institution. We know that the bullying was really amped up when Meghan was pregnant, and one of the turning points was the whole Meghan made Kate cry, which was a lie. That Kate has yet to um, come out and make a statement about. And during the pandemic, there was a um, there was a rise in suicidal incidences and people suffering with their mental health. And there was almost no support from the royal family regarding that issue. Instead, they were trying to go up and down the country doing tours where nobody wanted them. They went to Wales, they weren't wanted. They went to Scotland, they weren't wanted. So to now see William, sitting here and engaging with this charity that's dealing with suicide, I find it very hypocritical, and I just see this as a PR move. Because how is it when your sister-in-law told the whole world that she was feeling suicidal when she was pregnant, you said nothing, and now you want to advocate for suicide? So I hope James Palace UK, sorry, God, James Place UK do very well with this new initiative. I think it's amazing. And I hope people get behind it and support it, because we know that royals, being patrons doesn't necessarily mean that it will help the donations come in. But I can't ignore the hypocrisy of William being part of this. Cookies and cream. Meghan is no longer a working royal. She can wear what she likes. Indeed. Angela, children and parents live at the food bank, but hey, they won't have a Jubilee. Yeah, I mean, what what do we expect at this point? If they haven't yet figured out that they should probably call this off, um, then what can you say really? Yes, Lynn, the Jubilee is just it's a waste of time. Marcy, I really hope they go, but do not attend anything. Just because of Archie, Lily, and the Queen in private. The press will lose a big time. Yeah, that's another thing that a lot of people have been saying might happen. So we'll see. But in my general like day to day walking around, I haven't really seen any hype at all. Like I went to one market and there was just one stall where they had a lot of like British themed like memorabilia, but I wasn't sure if they have that all the time or if it's just for the Jubilee, because it didn't look like official palace kind of stuff. It was like that. You go to like souvenir shops, that kind of cheap stuff. So I don't really see a whole lot of hype for this Jubilee at all. Yeah, Angela and Victor's had them all having wedgies. They are struggling for sure. Yes, they say, where was the help for Meghan? Where was it? Yeah, Palmer, I couldn't believe how they refused to help Meghan either, but it's quite typical for the royal household. It's just a cold, cold place to be. Marsha, William is supporting men with these mental health tendencies. Yeah, I mean that's great. Um, I hope he'll work on his own incandescent rage. He always seems to be raging. Yeah, Alita, Kate is never gonna make a statement because Meghan has the receipts. Dolores, William and Kate do not need to talk about mental health. They did nothing um, with doing the bullying of Meghan. Yeah, and they were part of it. We know that they were part of it. Okay, so that is that. Oh, thank you so much, Elaine Parker, for the super sticker. Highly appreciated. Trinette Michelle, that looks like a new name. Have I seen you before, Trinette? Welcome, if we've never spoken. Like I said, Ghetto Island is losing its way. Hey, it may be a ghetto island, but it's my island. I love it still. I have to. But lost their marbles before Bully lost the last three strands of his hair. Oh, you guys. Elaine, I hope they celebrate Lily Diana's first birthday under a tree in their garden. Yes, peaceful under a tree. Patricia, but the Queen will want a picture of the kids on the balcony, and Harry won't deny his grandmother. Do you think she does? I mean, it's not like she did anything to stop the bullying, or she's doing anything at all right now to stop the bullying, so that these children aren't in danger. So I don't know. Cinderella, the Cambridges cause mental health problems, not help them. Indeed. Lottie, I heard that William and Kate had their 11th anniversary this week, but nobody said anything about them. I wonder why. Yeah, I spoke about this 2 podcasts back. For some reason, the communications team didn't put out anything, but their fans, the girlies on the Deranger side, were definitely having a tantrum about it. Okay, moving on from this. Yeah, there was a statement from a friend of Harry, someone who's known him for a very long time, and he said, I'm not going to play the video in case of copyright, but he said, honestly, Harry is the happiest puppy I have ever seen him. 10 years I have known him. When people come to him, it's not because of titles or whatever. They're coming because they want to thank him for creating this Invictus Games. And we've said this over and over again in the squad. We don't care about titles. If Harry was just Harry and Meghan was just Meghan, I would still support them. I'm not supporting them or watching their stuff because of the royal side of who they are. I couldn't care less about that. I've always respected Harry because he took after his mother and he did something of use with the privilege, with the royal privilege that he has. That's why I respect Harry, because he didn't just lie back and go, you know what, I'm going to live a gilded life. He said, no, I'm going to do something with the power and the privilege that I have, and that's why I respect him. That's why I respected his mother, and that's why I respect Meghan for the work that she's done and has been doing literally since she was a little girl. So it just makes the whole issue of, people calling to have their title stripped. Well, okay, strip the titles. I mean, it's not going to make a difference to how we, as Harry and Meghan fans, see them. I'll support them regardless, titles or no titles. Yes, cookies. Meghan lost her baby at the hands of these people because she was being bullied so much. When a woman is pregnant, that is the most, um, that's the most vulnerable she's ever going to be in her life, and she needs support. She needs peace, not to be bullied by the whole of the British press. Marilyn, I believe the talk about Elizabeth wanting to see Archie and Lily is a load of crock. She didn't nurture her own children. That's a very good point. It's just a very weird existence being a royal, more so being a British royal, because unlike royals in other countries, they haven't really moved into this century at all. Wonder the children will be the prettiest on the balcony, that's for sure. Can somebody check if John Newbold is John Newbold a troll? Or is he responding to something that Susie Q said? Just someone please check that. Sorry, John Newbold, if you're not a troll, but I just need someone to check that, please. Gerrance, only Parliament can remove a title, and you better have a good reason. They don't, so the titles will stay. Yeah. And does anybody really think that the members of Parliament want to debate whether or not we should take Andrew's title and want to debate Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell? Of course they don't. Wendy, the Queen did not attend Archie's christening, so why does she care now? That is a good point. Okay, John is a squaddy. Okay. See, I wasn't sure if he was saying something to her or about her. Sorry, John Newbold. My apologies. Okay, so that is that. Over in the Caribbean, we have the British Virgin Islands protest to condemn UK direct rule plan. A report commissioned by the Queen's representative had called for Caribbean territory to be effectively governed by London. Oy. Hundreds of people have protested in the British Virgin Islands against a proposal to put the overseas British territory under the direct control of the United Kingdom. The rally on Monday came after the BVI premier was arrested in the US city of Miami on drug-related charges. So, corruption on corruption on corruption. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is the British Virgin Islands not a tax haven? So I'm pretty sure they do want to maintain control to make sure that their rich friends have a nice little tax haven. Just the whole idea, though, of Britain just hanging on to these islands, hundreds of thousands of miles away, in this here side of the century, it's just ridiculous. There is no reason for them to be governing other countries like this. None at all. And sticking to the Caribbean, this is a article from Celeb Bitchy, and they were discussing another article that was posted in the Daily Fail, but I didn't want to click on the Daily Fail. But it was effectively claiming that William and Kate interviewed two star people apparently to lead the New Look communications team. Have you all noticed how they have been interviewing star people and rebranding now for the last 2-3 years? I don't know how long they're going to be on this rebranding marathon. The candidates, described as a man and a woman in their 30s and both former civil servants, have since been rejected due to not being anywhere close to up to it. One source said, it is pretty clear that the Cambridges need a drastic rethink. They are asking themselves whether there is enough diversity in their team, and they already know the answers. Another added, you can't think outside of the box if everyone is sitting comfortably in the same one. In dealing with sensitive issues such as the ones they met on their tour, if they aren't in tune with what's going on in the world, they will be left fighting for their futures. And that is true. But I wonder at this point, or I'm pretty sure at this point, actually, that it's just too late. What can they really do at this point? Because they've had 10 whole years to form their own identity. And at the end of that 10 years, they have a disaster tour. So these two people who we were told, these two people on the screen, with trying to smile and care as much as they can to whoever it is that we're talking to. These two people right here, after 10 years that we were told were groomed to be the futures of the monarchy, the second they stepped on the international stage, they failed. Prince William apparently held crisis meetings with aides as he plans a palace revolution to modernize the monarchy. The future of the monarchy and the Commonwealth came under scrutiny after the pair's tour, and it has been reported that the Duke of Cambridge had abrupt talks with aides about the planning of the tour. Listen, there is absolutely nothing even the best staff can do for these two people, and this is the thing. They say they want change, but really what they want is yes men and women. They don't actually want to change, because if they want to change, Meghan would have been welcomed and they would have learnt from her. They will never get it. Sharon, until I hear outright, the Queen, sorry, until I hear hit out the Queen tomorrow, it's that she missed the children. I will believe it. The UK media just using it as a soundbite to get Meghan and Harry to bring those kids on the balcony. Well, of course, but them saying it isn't what's going to bring Harry and Meghan to the balcony. It's Harry and Meghan getting the security they want. That's going to bring them to the UK, and even then, they may not necessarily stand on that balcony. I mean, do you want to be there if Andrew is there? That is going to look really bad. And I think Harry and Meghan so far have proven to be very, very smart people. I would be shocked if they are on that balcony with Andrew. Honestly, I would be shocked. I also do wonder, all of this talk about, security breaches, is this any way linked, or could they be trying, God forbid, trying to scare Harry and Meghan? Because it's like all of a sudden there's all these stories about security breaches kind of clashing with stories about Harry and Meghan on the balcony. All very strange. Really, I feel as though you can't advise a shame, which is a good advice. No, you really can't. Elisa, okay, so how about we interview William and Kate? What, here? You want me to interview William and Kate? Jesus Christ. What am I going to ask them? So Catherine, can you please tell us why you were crying about bridesmaids' tights at another woman's wedding? That's definitely going to be the first thing I ask her. And why, as the future queen consort, she is such a snowflake that she would cry over tights. Yes, Jacques, they only hire yes men and women. Marsha, Willie and Kate should just try to give up trying to act as though they care about social issues. Everyone knows they are fake and doesn't care about helping anyone. And it's of their own doing. It's what we've seen for almost 10 years. Catherine showing up to a dead woman's vigil, having never said anything about women's rights. So moving on, there was also this press release from the Advocates Network Jamaica talking about the 8 million that was spent on royals that could have obviously helped the children of Jamaica. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but they basically lined out the better decisions that could have been made with that money and where else that money could have gone. So just a couple of the things. Find and assist some of the over 30,000 missing school children, many of whom are hustling to support themselves and their families. Provide 250 children with 4 months of extra lessons for classes. Support social workers and psychologists. Provide 200 rural children with tablets. Support some of the over 1,000 early childhood institutions that have failed to meet the standards required to ensure the proper development of our children. Now, is that not Kate's speciality? But I didn't hear anything about that in her childhood development speech. Provide 800 more poor families with dependent children the compensation that they are unable to access. So it's very clear, and I'm glad that they've laid it out like this. All of the other ways that that money could have been spent. And again, it begs the question, what did Jamaica get from these tours? Quite frankly, what did Britain even get from these tours other than being embarrassed? Nobody won here. So what was the point? Um, Rachel's son. I read there was an aide that stated the positives of Meghan. She was fired soon after. Oh, that wouldn't surprise me. And cookies and cream. Hi, cookies and cream. I hope and pray the sausages do not come to that ridiculous Jubilee. It definitely won't be safe for them. These people are devious, indeed. I really hope they don't come either. There's nothing really for them to come for, and I just think that the royal ship needs to sail and sink. When it's time for the lifeboats to come around, then maybe they can, sail back if they want to, but not now while it's sinking. Okay, so that is that, and well done to the advocates for Network Jamaica. On to this issue with the intruder breaking into Windsor Castle. So this is the second so-called intruder this year. The last one had a crossbow, but this one was a little bit more canny. So this article was taken from Bazaar. Officials investigating after intruder breaks into Windsor Castle. A major investigation has now been launched with guardsmen and staff working that day being called for interviews and surveillance footage being analysed. The army takes this breach of security extremely seriously and it will be thoroughly investigated as a matter of priority. A Ministry of Defence spokesperson told Bazaar this incident is now part of ongoing investigation and it will be inappropriate to comment further at this time. This is not the first time the Queen's security has been breached. Last year, a man sectioned under Britain's Mental Health Act after he was apprehended on the grounds of Windsor with a crossbow. And in 1982, Michael Fagan famously broke into Buckingham Palace 2 times, gaining access to Queen Elizabeth's bedroom on his second attempt and having a 10-minute conversation with the pajama-clad monarch. This was actually dramatized in The Crown, by the way. So if you haven't watched The Crown, definitely do watch it. It was done quite well. It goes on to say, dressed as a priest, the man arrived at the barracks of the Queen's Household Division soldiers on April 26th, claiming to be a friend of the Coldstream Guards military chaplain. Despite his unexpected evening arrival at the gates of Victoria Barracks, the unnamed man was given entry into the building, which sits just 250 meters away from the Queen's Windsor Castle apartment. Why would you just let a random person who says that they're a priest? I mean, I would be very suspicious if they said, "Oh, I'm a gardener. I don't know, I've come to fix something." But presumably, if anybody from the royal family wants to go to church, they'll just go to church, and they do. Anyway, it goes on. He then spent the night eating and drinking with senior officers and was even offered a bed for the night. A source told Britain's Talk TV, which broke the story. That's interesting. Talk TV, that's Piss Moron's joint, broke the story. That's very interesting. He said his name was Father Cruz. What a creative name. And claimed to be a friend of the battalion's padre, the Rev. Matt Coles. He was invited in and offered something to eat in the officers' mess. So Harry definitely not paranoid at all. For being concerned about his grandmother's safety. The article also goes on to say within a couple of hours, he was drinking with the officers in the bar and telling them stories of how he helped serve in Iraq. He was telling lots of tall stories, and the lads were enjoying his banter and having a few drinks. It was only later when he started talking about how he had worked as a ejector seat test pilot and had some organs replaced. That the chap started to get that the chap started to get suspicious. Wait, what? This guy was talking about having organs replaced? I tell you, truly strange. But again, this whole thing with just all of these intruders and Harry and Meghan's security, it just makes me very suspicious. And this was the last intruder with his crossbow, and this was also very suspicious because this is someone who effectively said that he was going to try to kill the Queen. I mean, basically proclaiming treason. And they said that he was sectioned under the Mental Health Act, and then you never heard anything about it again. It's like the story just came and went like it was nothing, which is very strange to me. But hearing about all these things, and it just proves why Harry needs security more, and it just makes both the firm and the British authorities, quite frankly, really, it makes them look bad, because you then have to ask the question, well, if all of these incidences are happening, and a couple podcasts back, I read an article out by Sky News talking about the multiple incidences and security breaches and arrests that had happened around palace grounds. So it's not just like one or two incidences, it's many. And someone being able to just waltz up into the palace saying that he's a priest and get so close, that is very worrying. Ooh. Yes, Emerald, the money needs to be refunded to the islands. For sure. Okay, in other British news, before I move on to some of the other things, yeah, there was this very yucky story that came out, and I just like I had to, because oi. So there are these two individuals, Patrick and Susan, who are full brother and sister, and I mean, it's disgusting enough that they're in a relationship, but they've had children, and two of their children are severely disabled, no doubt because the gene pool is too small. And yes, as Lorraine King said, incest laws are there for a reason. So they've had 4 kids together and are fighting to make incest legal. Of all of the things that you can fight for, you fight to make incest legal. Now, in the UK, it is legal to marry your first cousin, and your partner will share a set of grandparents. And as Lorraine King also said, so how can that be right? I think it's even weird to marry a distant cousin. Well, it's definitely not weird if you're a royal. Society finds it acceptable, but it's definitely not something I do. No. But you know who does do it? The royals. And the Queen and Philip are third cousins. And there you can see their birth chart. The person in the middle there, that was Charles II of Spain. And yes, he literally looks like that because he was inbred. Apparently, he would scare his wife. So yeah, that's happening. It was also the 15th anniversary of Madeleine McCann. It's actually wild that this was so long ago. I mean, it was just such a massive story, especially for us in Britain. But it also brought to light a lot of conversations about children that do get attention and don't get attention in the press, and that this case was treated differently, really, because you had a young white British girl. It became such big news, and I just like to take a moment really for all missing children who haven't yet been found, and also just to remind all of us, grown adults who are listening, please do teach your young kids. If you've got young kids, nieces, nephews, teach them situational awareness, teach them stranger danger, because I feel like a lot of these things are kind of happening more often now that you have the internet, and it's just easier for kids to get snatched. So this was just such I think it became such a defining moment in British history, and it was just kind of wild that it's been almost 15 years. Um, so my thoughts and prayers to all missing children and their parents and their families um, who are suffering. And hopefully one day we'll get to the bottom of this case because it's just such a mystery. I know that everybody has their theories, but hopefully one day we'll know. Also in British news, the Daily Fail continued to be a fail. Um, Mary Kelly MP tweeted about journalists from the Daily Fail who were actually harassing a family and their 14-year-old child. So there was a journalist from the Daily Fail who doorstepped a 14-year-old child. The reporter asked for information about the child's parents without an adult present and only revealed their identity afterwards. This was a clear breach of it was a clear breach of journalistic ethics. But as we know, the Daily Fail just if there's anything they don't have is journalistic ethics. So Mary Kelly, Foy MP, has written to the editor of the Daily Fail and the editors of other outlets demanding that they cease hounding her staff and their families. And we know that the Daily Fail is a mouthpiece for the royals. They collaborate with them often. And of course, it is the paper that tried to make a show trial out of Meghan's letter to her father. And they were helped very much by Jason Knopf and, who would not have been given the green light to give details about the case from anyone other than a senior member of the palace, namely William. And so this is who the Daily Fail is. This is what Meghan was up against and what the truth is up against. And also a couple of days ago, I did talk about the story about Angela Kelly, who was the female MP, who had the story about her having, flashing the prime minister and all of this nonsense, basically just sexualizing a female MP. Well, that story actually originally appeared back in January. And it was written by a female writer for the Daily Fail called Amanda Platel. So you can see, if you see on the screen, you see this story about Meghan Markle's lawyer and her comments about bullying, have insulted all of us career women, that nonsense. But this was the leading story in like a bunch of, there was like a bunch of other stories that were written underneath this one, right? And Angela won it in a flash. That story was part of that article. So now we know where the source of that story came from. But when I looked at this, I was just like, wow, this was actually part of a wider story that started with Meghan. So, once again, trying to use Meghan's name in this way. Truly, truly shameful. Okay, let me go to your comments before I carry on. Sharon, where is all those body language experts? Can someone tell me what's wrong with that picture between Kate and William? Rahini, the only winners of the tour is the opposition politics parties. That is true. So Jamaica got a signed photo of William and Kate. Can you imagine? Harry actually said on film that he found it strange that they had to give those photos. And William actually says, if you go back and watch that video, William says nothing in that video. He just goes and prances up the stairs. So to me, that probably says that he probably thinks that the tradition is great. Yeah, we give them a picture of ourselves. They should feel pretty happy about it. Yes, B. Thomas. The Cambridges get a huge bill. Lane, the W starts on Lily Diana's birthday. Yes, and I can imagine that's why a lot of people are wondering, will we see a picture of her with the Queen? Yeah, Marshall. The intruder was Pedro trying to get in to see Mama. Yes, Maxwell. These intruders have become kind of frequent. It's very scary. Carolyn, the Sussexes have pretty much established themselves. I wish they would break ties completely. Well, at the end of the day, you know, as horrible as it can be, knowing that these are people that want to hurt you, that is still their family. And as far as Harry has made it very clear that he still loves his grandmother. So, only they really know what happens behind closed doors. Jacques, this is such a bizarre story. I feel someone drew random words from a hat. Mm. Which story was that? Wasn't quite sure what you meant about that. Y'all, can we make an agreement to just not talk about Tina Brown ever again? She's had her moment. Her hit piece only worked in the Derangers. Let's just let her book just die a very quick death and never speak about her book again. Crazy man pretending to be a priest there, and they all in conversation and breaking bread and drinking. This man could have poisoned everyone. Then get to the queen. Yeah, that's true. Like, how wild is that? It's actually scary. And it's not even like he said, "Oh, I'm a handyman," and even then, he would have had some kind of security clearance. Very strange. Yes, Lottie, that's probably why the Queen's kids are all effed up. Yes, Sharpie, it's suspicious, especially the kids are close to Jubilee and rumors of Harry coming. Madeline's story, was she ever found? I'm not sure. No, she was never found. She was never found. You'll find a million conspiracy theories about what happened to her that you can go look up in your own time. But I just wanted to take a moment for all missing children because they all deserve attention. And the amount of money that was spent on the McCann case could have helped find many, many other children. Joseph, it's about time the royal bloodlines are upgraded with some genetic diversity after hundreds of years of inbreeding. Well, the way they treated Meghan, I think they're pretty determined on keeping things pure. Pure in their eyes, what purity means in their eyes, all that blue blood nonsense. All right, let's scroll down your comments. Yes, thank you, Rahini. Don't forget to hit the like button. Cookies and cream. When Charles and Lily get older, how could Goldilocks and Tampon ever explain everything they've done to Harry and Meghan? How could they possibly explain how they let Archie and Lily be racially abused? Yeah. How? That's a very good question and something I've thought about often. How are they gonna explain it to Archie and Lily? And do you know what? It's not even, Archie and Lily. For them, it's gonna be how they explain it to the other kids, to the Cambridge kids. Because there's 3 of those kids, 1 or 2 of them is gonna deviate, and, I mean, I'm sure there will be a time when Archie and Lily are old enough and eventually, come face to face with their relatives. How do they explain it? That's a very good question. But by that time, you wonder if we'll even have a monarchy. Right, so this case got some people harassed to their demise. I never hear these stories from the UK news. Some people harass. What do you mean by that? I know that the McCanns and their friends had to deal with a lot from the British press. I think the mother's diary was leaked. There was definitely a lot of, yeah. There was like a case that happened between the McCanns, the British press, and also the McCanns' friends. But I don't know about the other people who were harassed. I don't know. Oh wait, I think you're also talking about some of the other suspects, right? Yeah. Yeah, there were a lot of other people that were caught up in this as well, like innocently, who lived in the Praia de Luz area. Then there was like 2 men. There was like a Russian guy and another like British guy. I think it was something like, was it Robert Murat, something like that. Yeah, it was a huge case. But I don't see Archie and Lily having that kind of relationship with uncle and grandfather. They will uncles and aunties who will be part of their lives on a regular basis. Yeah, well, I mean, they've got their surrogate uncles and aunties in California. Nacho and his wife, Meghan's friends. Meghan's got so many friends, and Harry's got friends. Um, James Corden. So they've got a whole circle of friends that are going to be surrogate aunties and uncles. And I'm sure that Harry is still very close to his Spencer side. So yeah, there's no such thing as blue blood, indeed. Rahini, I always wonder what is their end game. I always wonder that too, and I only come to one very dark conclusion, which is why I don't say it out loud. I hope that they never get their end game. So there's that. Okay, we're gonna move on to something I know a lot of you commented on the community tab that you want to talk about. The situation going on in the US with Roe versus Wade possibly being overturned. And the first thing I thought about um, was what happened when there was a vote going on in Ireland. And this was back when Meghan was still working royal. And she was asked by a representative what she thought about the whole situation. And, because obviously Ireland voted yes for abortion. And that representatives later then tweeted that Meghan had said that she thought that it was a positive, good thing. Those tweets were later deleted, but Meghan was accused of being political. Um, for me, at this point, I find it shameful that the royal family would not, um, how do I put this? Would not, yeah, would not just outright say, "Do you know what, we support women's right to choose," especially here in the UK, where it's really just a non-issue now. And I know that this is a topic of um a very difficult topic for some people. And I know that people on both sides feel very strongly about it. I'm sure there's probably people in this chat who are anti-abortion, and they have the right to their opinion, but I don't think anybody has the right to tell a woman what to do with her body. And um the whole idea that, you know, Meghan should have been quiet over something that, you know, she would obviously feel very strongly about as a women's representative. I didn't like that. UN women, I think it's actually part of their charter that reproductive rights are absolutely essential for women. So yeah, I immediately thought back to this when I heard about the whole situation with Roe versus Wade in the US. And as we know, with these with this whole situation, is that, you know, wealthy women are always going to have access to doctors, medicines, procedures. It's just crazy to me that this is even still a discussion. Of all the things that we could be focusing on, we're still policing women's bodies. And a lot of the men in power who are trying to push this, and there are some women too, but we know that for them, you know, their daughters, their wives, their mistresses, their secretaries will be able to have access to abortion. Here we have an individual, this is a Republican congressman. He was caught on tape asking his mistress to get an abortion. Also, in his divorce proceedings, he revealed that his former wife had 2 abortions, not 1, but 2. Oh, and then he announced that God has forgiven him and then voted in Congress to ban abortions for other Americans. Like, this is literally who they all are. And then you also had a former Trump aide who was accused of slipping abortion pills into women's smoothies. So, you know, it's one rule for them, another rule for us, normal working class people. There's a very interesting historical story out of Romania. And this is an example of actually what happens when governments try to intervene with this sort of thing. And the incident was called Decree 770. And if you are someone who is pro-choice, this is something that, you know, and you're having a discussion with someone who's anti-abortion, it's actually worth bringing this up as what can happen when governments intervene. So this was a decree of the communist Romanian government that was signed in 1967. It restricted abortion and contraception and was intended to create a new and large Romanian population. Um, and so the word decree was used to refer to Romanians born during the time period immediately after during the decree. Now, there was a writer called Stephen Levitt, and in his book, Freakonomics, he made the argument that children that were born after their mothers were refused an abortion were not only more likely to commit crimes or refuse to recognize authority when they reach adulthood. He also argued that the decree, or those born when the decree came into effect, were exactly the same people who spearheaded the effort to violently overthrow the regime that introduced the decree. And so, in that year, the oldest in the oldest of these individuals would have been 22 years old, and that was the general age of most of the revolutionaries. So what Levitt and his writer noted was that Romania was the only East European communist country with strict anti-abortion and anti-contraception laws at the time, and also the only country whose ruler was violently overthrown and killed at the end of the Cold War. Most other countries experienced a tumultuous but peaceful transition. So a lesson for what happens when government tries to intervene with people's right, or in this case, women's right, to choose what they do with their bodies and for their families. Mm. Whoops. Thank you so much to Sean. I'll get your comment in a sec. One sec. Thank you for your super sticker though. Cho, I thought women were vulnerable, but from all these stories coming out, they are vindictive and evil. Are you referring to women who may not have access to abortions? Yeah, well, poorer and working class women, indeed. This issue has me torn as a Christian, but I believe in a woman's right to choose. I would choose life, but it's her body. And yeah, I think that's how most sensible people do feel. If it's not something that you want to do, then by all means, uh, don't do it. But at this point, in history, um, I just find it interesting that we're debating women's bodies, but we never really debate on on what men do with theirs. If you are, say a man who is very adamantly anti-abortion, well, my question to you is, why not get a vasectomy? And if you do um, believe that abortion should be illegal, well, surely should you not be also campaigning um, for child support to be mandatory? And if your argument is that life starts at conception, okay, would child support be mandatory from conception? I mean, like when you actually start looking at all of these arguments, you really start to realize that you start to ask the question is, why is the focus so much on women and not on men's part and the part that they play in this. No, Reba, Megan is a grown ass woman. She can say whatever she wants. If they do not like it, too too bad. Ladies, close your legs. Yeah. I saw a tweet that was like, God, what did this girl say? She said, am I allowed to say stop having sex with broke men and not get cancelled anymore, or something like that? Never been a better time to be celibate. Yes, Shield, that's true. Once the courts, governments start taking away rights, where do they stop? It's a very, very slippery slope. And I think this just applies to almost everything. Like, government should just not intervene when it comes to medical procedures. Kim, Roe versus Wade will be overturned. The Chief Justice stated that the document leaked is authentic. Well, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out with this new generation of voters and women. It's going to be interesting. Now, Bonnie, years ago, I wouldn't have predicted that Ireland would be pro-choice, but not the US. Hmm. Sean, thank you so much for that. And not only that, they are making law stated that women have to get permission from the father man in order to even have a child. Oh gosh. Oh, disaster waiting to happen. Because, you know, whatever your opinion is on this debate, you're never going to stop abortions. You're just going to stop safe abortion, and that's it. Uh, Thank you so much for that, Sean. Marina, it's always men that come up with these laws. No, that's not entirely true. There are a lot of women who support this as well. There's a lot of women. In fact, I would say that if there weren't so many women supporting this, um, it wouldn't, it wouldn't even be a debate. It's kind of scary because like the other commentator said, where does this end? You've got not just with what we choose to do with our bodies and certain medical interventions. Is this now going to extend to other things? I mean, I was hearing chit chat about should people be allowed to marry interracially? And so this is, yeah, this is a very scary time. Yeah, Cinderella, like, where does it stop? Marsha, I wonder which race of women gets abortions more. In the black community, we generally choose to keep our unplanned babies. That is true. Think about it. Still, only women should have a right to her own body. I don't know any specific figures on you know what group of women chooses to keep babies and who doesn't. It's interesting though because there's a lot of anti-abortionists like in the black community who absolutely insist that there is some kind of agenda that targets black women to get abortions, but in reality I just don't actually see that being the case because like you said we do generally tend to keep our unplanned babies, which often has serious consequences. So it's the abortion debate. It gets when you start adding race into it. Yeah, it gets even more interesting. Uh, B10 Powell, Roe versus Wade situation is shocking, but when you have the majority on the Supreme Court bench is Republican, what can one expect? Ginsburg should have retired when Obama asked. Now this is a mess. Well, okay, I'm not completely and utterly up to date on American politics, but and like you know how all of your politics works, but you do currently have a Democratic president, and isn't like a good portion of the House, um, aren't they Democrats as well? So is there a bit of laziness from the Democrats on this issue? You tell me. I'm just asking. Bonnie, these people only care about babies being born. Once they're here, they're on their own. Yes, well, if you are um against abortion, wouldn't you also advocate for, you know, maternity care? Wouldn't you advocate for better schools? And it's like, who was it that said, wasn't it George Carlin, the famous American comedian? And he has that really famous skit where he's talking about, oh, they love the unborn, but once you're born, like you're screwed. Yes, Mina, they really are trying to have the handmaid's tale in real life. It's quite scary. I actually met Margaret Atwood, I got signed book of the Handmaid's Tale. Okay, going to scroll through the comments. Margaret, it's easier for men in America to get Viagra than it is for women to get birth control. Really? Is that true? Oh, well, if it is, I'm not surprised. Beaton Powell, well, the Republicans will say something else when the minority population becomes. With a woman's right being removed, the minority population will grow faster than the majority. Well, I'd be interested to know, like how many Republicans are actually also pro-choice, because I think we have a habit of, and this is the problem with like the right left blue red dichotomy is because somebody is on one side, they must also definitely think in this way. And I'm sure that, I'm sure there are probably people who are Republicans who are pro-choice as well. Hi Daniel, why so late? Because today has been a long day and I was only going to be able to do this live late. And then I didn't realize how many slides I had and then it just took so long. But thank you so much for joining me so late. Claudia, you're so right. Back alley abortions are going to be a thing again, unfortunately. Hopefully, we won't get there and people will protest. Legs, the problem is that people are too far removed from the back alley abortions where women were injured. Yeah, I've heard the stories. I've heard the stories. During Commonwealth, a Republican made the statement about interracial marriage. Then he said he misspoke. Oh gosh, how can you misspeak? How can you misspeak about interracial like you're either for or against it, and you definitely better not be against it. I agree. Where does it stop? I heard they were trying to roll back same-sex marriage. Yeah, I'm sure they're probably trying to do that as well. Like they're definitely not going to stop at this. I also think Alito was highlighting that should be evaluated. Okay. Yeah, they're gonna roll back all of the things that have made us progress. They'll roll back interracial marriage, same-sex marriage, abortion. Yeah, I've heard this as well, Marina. That they won't even consider rape or incest. Oh, it's just gross. Kim, okay, so we have a slim majority in both the House and the Senate. Okay, Democrats are lazy. Kim Hamilton's words. Oh, this is interesting. So, Rahini, I read that some Native American tribes have been opening their land for abortion clinics. Congress would have no jurisdiction on their land. That is interesting. But people would still have to get to those places. And there are some women who may not be able to afford to travel between states. Okay, so this only the Senate right now is 50-50. Okay, thanks for clarifying. All right. Thank you for your comments about or sharing your comments about American politics. It's always a lesson for me. Yes, Marina, George Carlin is a legend. He indeed is a legend. Oh, hi, Ethan's husband. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so let's just move on. I guess we can end with, yeah, we'll end with the Met Gala. So, shout out to, yeah, we'll end with something a little bit more lighthearted and positive. But thank you all so much for your comments regarding that matter. So we had the Met Gala, and please do forgive me. I have to find the name of this young lady who absolutely smashed it. This girl was a reporter, and quite frankly, they need to just give her all the awards, all the roles, all the money, all the endorsement deals because she literally looked better than everyone there. So her name is Genesis Suero, and she was reporting for a Spanish language broadcasting company. And she wore this magnificent dress. I mean, how gorgeous does she look? And the actual theme of the event was Gilded Age New York. And she went viral for being just bang on the money. I mean, she looks fabulous. Look at that skin. Just glowing, absolutely glowing. Anna Wintour, on the other hand, who runs the whole thing, didn't quite nail it. Listen, if you ask me, the Met Gala has always just been a little bit of a peacock show for rich and famous people, and I think it's kind of lost its sparkle over the years. It's just not. It's just not what it used to be for me. Um, I really loved Blake Lively's look. I thought she absolutely nailed it. And if you can find it, go look up Blake explaining her outfit because she just got it down. Um a lot of the patterning, was inspired by New York architecture, and it opened out, and it's, you had obviously inspired by Lady Liberty there and different buildings in New York. So love Blake Lively's outfit. And one thing that Alicia Keys is always going to do is rep for New York. And this was fabulous. I loved this. I absolutely loved this. Just glittering, had the New York skyline on her dress. You also had Stormzy, who was repping the UK, one of the few guys who I thought really pulled it off on the carpet. Cardi actually looked pretty lovely here, gilded in gold. Um, I forgotten the name of the lady in the purple, but I thought she looked really good. And everybody else who understood the assignment. So I'd love to hear your opinions on how everybody was dressed at the Met Gala. There was, to be honest, I thought it was quite disappointing this year. There was a lot of people who showed up who looked like they went shopping at Fashion Nova or Shein. But a lot of people knocked it out of the park also. Okay, we're going to end the podcast on that, guys and dolls. So I'll just get through your comments, and thank you so much for coming and being patient with me today, because there was a lot to get through. Reba, pro-lifers will not provide childcare, food, a home, and education, but they want to tell women what to do. Yeah, it's really sad. I just think, where we are now in women's advancements, this should just not be a discussion. Teresa, women are planning mass protests across the country. Yeah, but I also think, like, alongside protests, like, there needs to be other forms of action, women, like, creating, more communities. It can't just be protests. Like, there has to be a lot more, like, on the ground, like, coming together to form communities and to help each other. There's Bonnie, scary times in the US. Legs, there would be 26 states where abortion would be illegal if it were to be enacted now. Gosh. Oh gosh. That's over, yeah, that's over half the states. Wow. Oh wow. And I'm assuming they'll probably even try to put in laws where if you try to go to another state, you'd be in trouble as well, right? Joyce, the Senate is 50-50, but you have the vote of the vice president that will break a tie. Okay. Hidlik Kadachi won't swear in until July. Oh, July can't come fast enough. Do you think maybe that's why they're trying to rush this? Could be a reason why. Yes, Bonnie, that young woman absolutely looked like a princess. And yes, Cinderella, Blake killed it. Yes, Marsha, Blake killed it, and the Kardashians. Oh my god. So I did not want to give her too much airtime, but did you see the whole thing with Kim wearing Marilyn's dress? Like, I'm so tired of her like doing things just to get under people's skin. Because Marilyn really was a pioneer of her time. She was an absolute pioneer of her time. Um, and as someone actually pointed out, Marilyn grew up a dirt poor orphan who never knew her father, had a mother in psych wards, was bullied, beaten, molested, raped, assaulted before she even turned 16. Marilyn constantly went against grain and was an early advocate for women, people of color, the LGBT community, and Kim's not an idiot. Like she knows that by wearing this dress, people are going to say something, and I'm just tired of her attention-seeking ways. I hope her and the whole clan disappear at some point. Um, but yeah, I agree with you, Marsha. The Kardashians it was a no from me. And I actually just found this very insulting to Marilyn's legacy that Kim would wear her dress. Then you think that Blake's dress is the best? Yeah, I'm happy to give her best dressed. Not only best dressed, but best most well thought out. Next, Max Valletta, everyone. Yeah, all the ones that I think I've chosen look pretty lovely. But there were some absolute disasters this year. Marina, you liked Alicia Keys. Yeah, I really loved Alicia's dress as well. Like I thought it was very, very creative. Thank you, Lucy Wen. Thank you for reminding everyone. Thumbs up. Oh, thank you, Marsha. Yeah, every now and again, I think it's good to bring in a couple other topics of conversation. I know that abortion it's a very heavy one, and I'm sure there are some people who don't agree and who are anti-abortion, and they absolutely have the right to feel that way. But I couldn't ignore it. Cho, this is not just a Dems issue. It's an ultra sensitive. Americans can't figure it out. Either it's a power and control move. Yeah, it's just strange that this is still a topic of conversation in America that touts freedom and liberty. I mean, I know Britain's a little bit wonky, to put it nicely, but this is not a discussion that we have here ever. Like we had this discussion and we, put it to bed a long time ago. That's one thing we got right. Everything else is a mess, but we got that right. Reaper. Cut off the panani. Oh god. Uh well, you know what? You say that like women should stop playing down with, like men who aren't. But if you are a anti-abortion woman, then you probably don't mind with being with an anti-abortion man. So, like the idea that everyone's just gonna cut off the panani. I mean, the concept might be great, but in practice, not realistic. Shill, I always thought it strange that the Met Museum told artists what to create, let creativity fly. I believe it's mostly Anna Wintour. Like, doesn't she approve everything? Um, she just comes across as a control freak to me. Apparently, she was quite mean to Andrea and Tally. Um, I think he had said something about it was like his last wish that she apologized to him or something like that. And obviously, he passed away recently. So I think a lot of it is centers around Anna Wintour trying to wield her power. Y'all, y'all really just don't like the Kardashians. uh yeah, Rahini. When they started inviting the Kardashians and other influencers, that's when it lost its sparkle for me. I think like it used to be the absolute creme de la creme of the A list. And it's like I get that I guess they're trying to connect with the youths, with the millennials and the Gen Zs, but you know, even as a millennial, like I can appreciate that you want people who have truly excelled in their field, who are, truly talented, not just a bunch of, reality TV stars and like TikTokers. Like, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I kind of want the Met to be elitist. It's the glamour, it's the illusion, right? That's why you watch. You watch it for the illusion. Like, I think, don't get me wrong, I think it's ridiculous. Like, I think it's a ridiculous peacock show, but you watch it for the illusion. You watch it for the grandeur and for the glamour. And it just, when you just have TikTokers and reality TV stars around, like it loses the glamour. Thank you so much for coming, Max Walletta. Yes, Marina, it was Marilyn's actual dress. SS Kim K says some stuff about she lost weight to wear the dress, absolutely promoted eating disorder. I mean, really and truly, what have the Kardashians done for their whole career other than promote unrealistic beauty standards and then sell women products to try and meet those unrealistic beauty standards? And Kim's actually had a lot of her surgeries reversed. All right, it's actually after midnight here. So, yeah, now I've been on here so long that when I started this podcast, it was 3 days until King Archie's birthday. Now it's 2 days until King Archie's birthday. B-Term to Power, yeah, Sika Kim too. All right, let's round this up, folks. We have been on here for too long. Yeah, Black Queen. Some people's birth control fails. So there's so many reasons why someone might need an abortion. Okay. Oh, I actually managed to get to the bottom of your comment. So, who is going to get the last word of the day? Let's end on something positive. Let's end on something positive. Now, Marina, now everyone can get in if they become a social media sensation. Well, I'm not against it if they became a social media sensation, actually doing something interesting and they're actually talented or, doing something that gives back, you know. Social media sensation, you can become that doing something impactful. So it's not like when I say, reality TV star or TikToker, I'm talking about the people who have really just have no talent. It's like they're just famous for being famous. That's what I mean. Like if you've actually done something amazing, then yeah, I think you should be invited. Oh, thank you so much, Legs, for the super sticker before we end. Thank you. All right, Gwendolyn, I will give you the last word of the day. Good night to all the squaddies. Have a great evening. And yeah, I guess if there's news tomorrow, I will see you tomorrow. Thank you all so much for coming as usual. Much appreciated, guys and dolls. Bye.
I know I messed it